What's up, guys? We are live for Training Talk here on October, I don't even know what today is, October 5th, 2023, doing the final tour wrap up show. We'll have some special guests on tonight. Looks like one of our guests ducked away from. Oh, there he is. Look at that.
What's up?
What's
How you
going
guys
on?
doing?
Doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I don't even know what I got back here. I got a fallow deer antler and a Nemo. It's gonna have to do. That's my background. How you guys doing?
You got a half a fallow deer. We'll take it.
Yeah, well, the other one's over there. We don't want to go wide angle. So good evening. It's been we haven't gotten to catch up hardly at all. We've all been busy, and now the tour is wrapped up, which is exciting. Did you guys have a good tour?
Yeah, definitely so.
Here, this is all the freedom munition I have left. A half a box.
I don't even know that I have that much left of that. I was kind of like, okay, where's my stuff? And I don't have any of that left. Did you guys get your hands on any of the XDEF 147 that they do now? So I think they sent this, like, I think I got it, like, I don't know why, probably because it was at the headquarters and we did the gel shot with it. We did some gel shots and I was actually pretty impressed with it. And at the price, and it is a bonded hollow point, it's a 147 grade bonded. And I've been shooting it through a whole bunch of different guns because it looks like it'd be a big, kind of hard to feed, kind of all, long, typical 147, heavy, big, wide open spit, but it feeds great in anything I've tried it in, and it performed well in the gel. People can check that gel shot out at obviously Personal Defense Network. So yeah, I was happy with Freedom. And they were kind of, I think a lot of people were like, okay, well, I remember using some of that in the past, but I don't know. And all the students were pleasantly impressed with the performance in the training guns too.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's where mine went. Was all the students throughout all the classes, and never once had a squib load or anything like that. The one squib load I had was in Wyoming, and I won't mention the brand, but it wasn't Freedom.
I think I saw that.
Yeah, it was you that punched it out for me.
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah. What else? What up, Barrett? What's the first, I don't know, event or sponsor or something you want to talk about? I know that you guys have some of the other instructors coming on, so I won't take up too much time.
Yeah, definitely so. Look at that. I think I got a bar. Look, sponsor bar.
Nice.
Yeah.
You do. I actually finished my tour finished at Cape Gunworks. That was the last class. It was actually I think it was on the 15th. We were set up to do the last day of the tour at that location, which is great because they do all the online store stuff. And I know, Training Talk is sponsored by Primary Arms and Primary Arms Online. And tonight we're talking about the tour. So we've got two different online resources for people all over the country. But as a training range, Cape Gunworks is obviously one of the flagship places I like to go every year. Did you guys get up there this year at all?
I didn't make it up there this year. I've been up there the past couple of years, I think. This year ended up not on calendar, but definitely looking forward to get back there. I like that part of the country.
Yeah,
I like the range.
And you know that they now have they have a fleet. They have a boat. They've started their fleet at Cape Gunworks, and you're a boat guy, so you'll enjoy it. It's cold though. It's cold boating in New England.
Yes, it definitely is, but they've got tuna, like from the beach almost. You just go out there, kind of, sort of. I get
it. May or may not be an exaggeration, but maybe.
But it's closer to there than what they are at my house currently.
Well, that's
got that going for me.
That's true. Derek, did you get up there to New England at all this year?
No, last year on the tour I was up in Maine, but this year no, I didn't get up.
Okay,
there.
So do you know that Maine is now the last state that I have to teach in to get all the whole collection?
No kidding.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, I think I might have to make the highlight of my tour as great as going back to all the regular places are. The whole idea of the tour, as you guys know, for those of you who aren't familiar with what we do, building training communities and going to new places it was always a staple for me, even before the Personal Defense Network training tour and bringing other instructors in. It was the idea that I'm driving around the country, and even if only 3 students show up, well, that'll cover some gas money and maybe pay for the hotel or a meal. And it seeds the idea of training in a community as concealed carry expanded, 12, 15 years ago. I can remember doing a course in Illinois, middle of nowhere farm field. And obviously there's a huge training communities. There's training communities all over the place now in Illinois since the McDonald case, but this is even pre-McDonald. There were, and I wasn't the only one. There were a few of us that were teaching there, not just law enforcement classes, but civilian classes as well, focused on home defense. And that building training communities thing is fun. So the highlight for the training tour this year for me has to be teaching in Hawaii. Over the years, that was the 49th state for me. I understand it's the 50th state in the union, but it was the 49th state for me to teach in. And people have talked about it for years, bringing me over there to teach, and just never could get it together. Not enough people that were interested in defensive shooting, or back when it was called combat focus. The range didn't want to have combat focus shooting, or the outdoor private land ranges that were really just, piles of dirt. The neighbors would complain if we shot that many rounds a day. When push came to shove, we never got the classes together. But this year, Justin Arnold and Justin Dang reached out to me just after SHOT Show and said that because of the Bruin decision, they're now issuing concealed carry permits in Hawaii. And Justin Arnold I think he's had 300 students get concealed carry permits on the Big Island alone. He's I think he's the spearhead of the training community there. And guy named Daniel built a great range on his private property up above Kona. And I've been to Hawaii once before, but it was when I was a teenager, and it's been a lot. I really didn't have any reason to go over there. I guess you guys know I usually time my vacations and work travel together. So it was pretty interesting thing. It's Hawaii, the Big Island particularly, very rural, interesting place, and incredibly strong training community. Oversold classes, 3 classes with handgun focus on 2 days and a carbine focus on 1 day. And we ended up getting a lot of guys set up with equipment. I formed a relationship with the local gun shop there. He was talking about how it was hard to get, anything really over there, even from the major distributors, and holsters, like G-code holsters. I don't know if you guys, I think I sent you the video on these Paradigm, quote unquote, universal holsters. Incredibly impressive how well they actually fit so many guns. So now the gun shop is carrying those holsters because they can't afford to stock 50 different holsters with still a small community for concealed carry. But people come in and buy guns and obviously need holsters. And the Paradigm from G-code is fitting right in there. So that was definitely a big thing for my tour. And I didn't do as many classes as normal this year. So I was glad to get that one in.
Yeah, and awesome. This, Rob, I've been asked this a couple times when I stopped. The tour truck, do you miss having the tour truck, or do you feel like the tour truck would limit where you could go, and you like better just jumping on a plane, going to the different locations?
I miss the tour truck when I'm teaching, right? Because it's great to have all my stuff. So it's I miss having the extra loaner belt or the loaner sling or that kind of stuff, especially for the rifle classes, because it's really hard to kind of fly with all the extra optics, whatever. Magazines, obviously I can carry a lot more extra ammo, and maybe by the end of the tour some of that stuff's used up, but it is that part I miss. I miss some of I miss some of the fun of it, the marketing parts of it. I miss some of the downtime of it. So yeah, I would say generally I miss that aspect of the tour. It just really doesn't fit. I mean, you guys know that I'm spending a lot of time in Colorado with Cindy Lou, and to be able to be with her as close to 50% as possible, that it kind of makes the flying back and forth necessary. If the flying back and forth is necessary, then I'm not going to get the use of the vehicle, and I'm going to end up backtracking a lot, and it just really isn't tenable. So the tour truck may come back. I think practically speaking, the other thing that really made the tour truck less interesting from a business standpoint is this goes back 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago when we really started adding so many other instructors. I mean, this year we had 12, 13 instructors on the tour. And like I said, I was probably only about 35% of the classes. 8 years ago, I was 80% of the classes, and there were only a handful of other people teaching. So the tour truck and I were at 80% of the events. Now it would be kind of weird to have the tour truck as a centerpiece, and yet it's only at maybe 20% of the events, because there would still be, I wasn't going to drive it to Hawaii. Right. So tour trucks just kind of, I think the tour has outgrown the tour truck, and that doesn't really fit.
That's sort of what I told. I got asked a couple times by students, hey, what about the tour truck? And I was like, well, it's so much bigger now. And Rob is doing a whole lot more. Like I said, Avidity, Colorado with Cindy Lou, he's all over the place. I really don't know,
last year, I don't know, it never really came to fruition, but last year I had a couple big decals done that were kind of like the patch. And the idea was that I thought I might send them out to like everybody, right? So like, Barrett, you've still got the Bearco mobile, right? You've got some graphics, and like I think I don't know, probably a third of the instructors have some kind of a vehicle that is wrapped or has logos on it or something like that they might have added the decal. But just in asking a couple people, most people were flying to the events they were doing for the tour as travel events anyway. So it just again, I think our focus really, on things like the Training Talk show and rapid fire radio, getting the instructors on rapid fire radio and spreading the word. I think our instructors are doing a much better, our sponsors are doing a much better job over the last few years of sharing information about what's going on with the tour and collaborating with one another on social media. So the marketing value, of that, something like the truck just really isn't there. I think the truck's presence probably helped build the tour in a lot of ways, 8-10 years ago, but it's a different thing now. What about you guys? What was because I know we got some, I don't know who's coming in first, Ryan or someone, but what's the, what was your highlight, Barrett?
I did, I think my highlight was probably some of the stuff that kind of went behind the scenes. I was out in Georgia earlier this summer, really helping a church get better prepared, for security and whatnot as part of the tour. And I think that was probably one of the more, rewarding classes with that, is that very hungry individuals for personal defense skills, but in the context of, trying to protect other people, inside of a house of worship and whatnot. So I think that was definitely the highlight. But
very cool. Yeah, I haven't done one of those classes in a while. I think I feel like I was scheduled to do one. I was trying to get to at one point, and one of you guys jumped in or was going to help with it, and then I ended up not making it or something recently. I used to do a lot of those things in the Midwest, and they are gratifying to do that when you know that people are there. Not as professionals, not as like armed professionals in the police or military sense, but really seeing themselves and wanting to be protectors, but recognizing that they can't just raise their hand and put a gun in their belt and be that.
Right.
It's nice.
Yeah, definitely so.
My highlight never came to fruition. I was supposed to go to Maryland and actually teach an IDS class. Because you know what? I've been an IDS instructor now well over a decade. I've taught that many IDS classes inside the state of Maryland.
In your home state.
Yeah.
Was that with On Mission Arms?
No, it was out in Western Maryland, like more towards the Pennsylvania line.
Oh yeah, okay.
I can't think of the guy's name. But it ended up there was something with the range. Like it was, we got the range, and then all of a sudden the range was like, no, it's not going to happen. Then it was like a ownership thing with the range, and it was like, I'm like, all right,
the adventures of putting on classes all over the country. Well, I think Clint's taught there a couple times this year. So when Clint joins the show, whatever segment he's got, tell him I said hi, and he can tell you about teaching in Maryland. Listen, guys, I appreciate everything you guys do with Training Talk. The reality is I didn't even know that the office had already coordinated with you guys to do this as the tour wrap up when I sent that note out, whatever it was a week ago, and said, hey, we need to do the wrap up. And you're like, yeah, we got it. Oh, good job, guys. I'll just go back to doing what I do. I'll go get on a plane, and I think I'm going down to Miami. I'm going to fly right over you, Derek. Well, actually, I might fly over both of you if I go from Denver, but I'll be in Miami teaching next weekend. So that should be fun. All right. Well, you guys, thanks for everything
you're coming to my state, and I'm going to your state.
You're coming. Which one? Colorado. Oh, that's right. You're going to be with Guns for Everyone, right?
Yeah.
And then he's going to Mexico with me. We got the first instructor development course in Mexico that he's going to help me teach because I don't really speak the Spanish talk.
There's that.
Edgar's coming down. You guys can talk to him about that later. But thanks for being part of a great tour. And for the audience, if you weren't part of the tour this year, be part of the tour next year. And you can go learn about all the sponsors that helped us out and the other instructors at pdntrainingtour.com. That stuff will stay up probably till around the holidays. We'll get it renewed for 2024.
Thanks for being on.
Thanks, guys.
Come on, Rob.
See ya.
Hey, Ryan Hoover.
What's up, guys?
What's going on?
Hey, congratulations.
Man.
Yeah,
thanks, I appreciate
congratulations.
it.
That's awesome. So is that what you did during the training tour?
Yeah, it's been this year has been kind of insane for me. I heard Rob say, he didn't teach as much this tour I didn't quite teach as much this tour either. I in addition to getting married, I own two physical training centers, and one of our training centers, I've been there for 15 years, and about 3 weeks out from renewal, they told me they weren't going to renew me. So that left me scrambling big time. So it's been kind of a crazy year, but we had some great classes on the tour as well.
Cool. So everybody knows where are you located primarily?
I have a center in Charlotte, North Carolina, and then I have another one about 45 minutes west of there.
Okay. So like, but you run your stuff year round, right? Like,
yeah, we have like classes every day. I mean, we're more on the, we do some gun stuff obviously, but we're more on the hand-to-hand, empty hand, defensive tactics kind of side of things. Even most of the gun stuff we do is, inside of 3 to 5 feet, kind of bad breath range kind of stuff. So we in our centers, we run 5-6 days a week, depending on the center. And then we have an affiliate program where we've got kind of training centers that run our programs as well. So, and usually I try to include them in the tour as well. I try to hit those affiliates up for a course here and there when I can.
Cool. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure parents tell the students the same thing. They're like, what class should I take next? And I'm always like, have you taken a hand-to-hand class? Because most people, if they have not taken one, they're reluctant to, because, hand-to-hand is like the hard work class.
Yeah.
It is not standing. I mean, it's hard work on the range for a little bit, and it's warm and stuff, but really like, how much do I really not know? Get into a hand-to-hand class and let somebody grab a hold of you. And then all of a sudden,
it's true. And I think, and obviously I'm a gun guy. I mean, I'll have a gun. I'm at my house. I'll have a gun class here tomorrow, halfway down my driveway. But I think a lot of times for gun people, for lack of a better term, it becomes kind of this magic talisman, and it gives me an excuse to not do all the other things, because I can think, well, I've got this, I don't need all that other stuff. And I mean, beyond what is obvious to us, that just getting to your gun sometimes is the biggest part of it. I mean, the reality is, if more often than not in interpersonal confrontations, conflicts, whatever, you're going to your gun, you've got a real problem. You're living the wrong kind of life, So, I mean, I've carried a gun in some form or fashion since I was not old enough to do so, and I've never gone to it. I've never pulled it. And I've worked with police officers that have been on the job for 10, 15 years that have never drawn their gun in the line of duty, but they go hands on a few times a week, sometimes a few times a day.
Yeah. So when you were running your classes, were you using your certs a lot? One of our sponsors for the tour?
A ton. I actually just ran a course in Baton Rouge a couple weeks ago.
What?
That was, it was good.
How did I not know that, man? You got to let me know you're coming to town.
It was a good time. One of my guys went down with me, and he's from that area, so he went to LSU, so we got to see a game at the stadium. That was wild for me. I'd never been there. It's 100,000 plus. It's
a loud stadium.
It was something else. Yeah, man.
Yeah, they push the noise level of gunfire there just about.
Yeah, it was wild. That was a new one for me. But yeah, that course, it was a 2-day course. It's all in art. It's all cert. It's all inside of this was a Krav Maga training center. So it's all inside. It's all, again, there's some general marksmanship kind of stuff happening, and we go through the fundamentals of, grip and stance and trigger pull and all that kind of stuff, but trigger press and getting to the wall and all that. But most of it is, all right, how do I get to my gun? How do I get shots on target when I'm being grabbed and pushed and pulled and maybe choked and hit and whatever else? And then how do I keep my gun if I get it into play in that kind of range? And we use certs almost exclusively for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I ended up using the certs a lot. In fact, I was just talking about the the course that I put together that was working with a church out on the East Coast in Georgia earlier this summer, and I definitely use the certs heavily. I've got a couple sitting right next to me. Of course, the stick. Yeah, I was gonna say the stick. I love my stick. Absolutely love
Yeah.
it. It's slung. It's got the light. It's got optics on there. That ends up getting used a good bit, as well as mainly the smaller concealed carry style on the handgun side.
Yeah,
Definitely
even
use them a
in our
lot.
like active killer classes, we use them because it gives people a real visual
Yeah.
representation of kind of where those rounds are going to end up, because I mean, even in our active killer stuff, we get people kind of from all walks of life. And recently I had a guy come through that he was a competition shooter, had been a competition shooter for 10 years. And he was like, at the end in the Q&A, he said, I came here for the empty hand part of this, because I felt pretty good about my skills when it came to the pistol. He said, but I realized after this course that I really wasn't prepared for that part either. When you start, you can talk about foreground and background all you want, but when it's real and there's people running around and screaming and you're having to step over them, and if you look at something like a church, like you were talking about, where you've got fixed seating, and a wide range from little kids to elderly, and the whole run, hide, fight model kind of, when it comes to that linear progression, it doesn't really follow suit like that. And so having a cert where you can see visually where that round would have ended up, where it would have impacted, maybe that wasn't the best time to take that shot kind of thing, I think is really important. So we use them a ton.
Yeah, I've definitely used them more and more. Did you have any of the G code holsters this year?
No, I didn't. I didn't. I had the certs, and I had the Canex. I use the Voltex a lot. We use the Voltex, and I've got in one of my training centers, we've built in some sim rooms. And so one of the scenarios that we run is using the Voltex, where you get woken up in the middle of the night. We have a living room set up and a bedroom set up and an office set up, and they have to be able to get to their safe and get and you'd be amazed how many people forget a 2 or 3 digit, 4 digit code, when stress is even just being simulated, and so they find out real fast kind of what their state of readiness is, so, and we use certs and some force on force stuff for that as well. But we use the Voltex to kind of help add a different layer of stress to those situations.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those devices that people often overlook when they're getting out practicing or training at the gun range. And you've got a lot of America's gun owners that owns guns for home defense, yet they've never taken the gun safe out to the range and incorporated that in. And like you said, it can be a barrier. It can be a big barrier if someone's not practicing and training around it.
Yeah, I mean,
Obviously for somebody like myself, with kids in the house, it makes sense to have that barrier in place.
Right.
And that's why one of the reasons I love the Voltex Ace, right? They're super reliable. It's like I know that if I swipe my finger across it, that on that biometric safe, it's going to open 99 times out of 100. I'm going to hit that finger good on it, and it's going to be efficient. It's going to work well.
Yep. And and people always use the cliches, train like you fight and stuff like that. But I mean, if you're asleep, 3 a.m., it's dark, you get woken up. It takes you several seconds to figure out what's happening. Where did that glass just break? Was it between me and my kid's bedroom? And now I got to find this safe and punch in this code. And if you're not training that way, there's no reason you should expect you're going to be able to perform at a high level if it ever happens for real. So we try to. It's a great tool for us because we know that people use things like that in our house. I have one right here in my nightstand, and yeah, and but if you're not training it, I mean I've run sims where I've just had people try to dial 911, and you'd be amazed how many people struggle just to get 911 into a phone.
Oh yeah, it's just I always remember I had a student, this is several years ago, teaching a women's self-defense class, but she was talking about this one story that in her own life, she's divorced, she's home alone, it's 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and she wakes up, to her garage door open. And I mean, obviously, immediately she goes into a, kind of a panic mode. But she kept a gun for home defense, and I forget the exact number, but she had the gun, I think, like 5 or 6 years, and had kept it in the same place. And so it had always been part of her home defense plan, but it's not something that she practiced and that she trained with. And when that garage door opened at 2 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden her ability to analyze and think kind of took a nosedive really quickly, she could not even remember where she stored that gun at. And she luckily ended up not needing it, thankfully. But, to her, that was a very eye-opening moment, is that she thought she was prepared, thought that she had a home defense plan, and in the moment could not even remember where it was.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that goes back to, kind of how we started the conversation with the void when it comes to empty hand training. Even if you're doing, I equate it like this. Let's say you guys we're gonna have a boxing match with each other in 30 days. Derek, you're gonna get nothing but heavy bag work for 30 days. That's all you're gonna get. And Barrett, you're gonna get heavy bag work. You're gonna get mitt work. You're gonna get conditioning, strength work.
That's good because he's a lot bigger.
I'm trying to pad it for you. You're gonna get sparring. You're gonna get all the things. If neither one of you had any background whatsoever, at the end of that 30 days, it should be pretty obvious how that boxing match is going to look. And so I kind of look at firearms training similarly, like going to an indoor flat range where you're picking up your pistol off the table in front of you and the lighting is great and you've got eyes and ears and you can gather your breath and you can take your time and get out the full presentation and all that kind of stuff. It's a part of it, but that's heavy bag work. It's a piece of training for a fight, but it's not the fight.
It's not the fight.
You need
right.
all those other. That's right. You need all those other things. I mean, there's a gun store here in town. They sell this T-shirt that says, "I'm too fat to fight. I just shoot." And I'm like, A, you're a DA's just dream, but B, I mean, it goes back to I'm gonna pretend that this is enough, that I don't have to do the hard work. I don't have to put in the time to do these other things because it's going to make me uncomfortable.
Yeah, definitely so. And that's, I shared a TikTok video the other day, and I knew it when I shared it. I only had a little bit of time to put it out there, and I knew it. I'm like, I already know where the comments are going to go, but it's like, well, that's why I have a gun. It's like,
yeah,
your gun is this much of your plan for personal defense, whether it's home defense or public environment. The gun, it's awesome, but it's a small piece. And too many people think that, that's the answer for everything. It's kind of like the heavy bag work, right? If somebody only, works at heavy bag day after day after day, week after week after week, month after month, it's like that's all they have. That's their plan. And that could really fail them in a lot of different situations, just like the firearm could, or send them to jail because they, went to the wrong tool at the wrong time.
That's right. And that old, it's a cliche, but it makes sense here. If everything you have, if the only thing you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. I mean, end of the day, if all of you have is that, and you see it with use of force when it comes to police officers, because defensive tactics in a lot of departments is really, really lacking. And, police officers are human and they get scared just like anybody else does. And I mean, here in North Carolina, basic law enforcement training is 6 months. In that 6 months, you get 40 hours of DT training. In that, the first 8 are lecture and the other 32 are terrible, and so you're going to give them a gun and say, here, go protect and serve. Well, the first time that 22-year-old gets into a fight with some dude that fights every day, every week and has for the past 10 years, you kind of see how that's going to look, what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
I tell students all the time, I've had students, well, I'm just going to, if I pull the gun out, they're going to run. And I say, well, just think about the person that's most likely you're going to need to use a gun for. they're probably already hardened that they've had guns pointed at them before, and it makes very little. It does not give that visceral reaction as if you pointed a gun at me or I pointed a gun at you, because we're law-abiding citizens that don't point guns at people because we know we're not supposed to point guns at people.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know,
That might
it's
be
like,
his second time that day.
right.
You know,
And
like,
it's like, that's not theory, right? You know, there's plenty
Right.
of video evidence where you see guns go to faces and you don't see the reaction that you would expect someone to have, right?
Yep.
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 Definitely so, man. Ryan, much appreciated for
All right,
coming
fellas. I
on.
appreciate you.
Definitely so. You have another location you're coming up that anybody could check out your class?
I'm hitting Columbus, Ohio at the end of this month. Actually, Rob's old stomping grounds at Endeavor. I'm teaching a knife defense 2-day course there. So
Cool.
other than I got 3 days this weekend here in Charlotte, but my next thing is Columbus, Ohio at the end of the month.
So you're going to be
Awesome.
with Aaron Genetti.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. I'm teaching our Edge of Reality course at his spot for 2 days.
Oh, nice.
Well,
Well,
tell
we
them
got to
all
get
said
you on
hi.
for a full show one time, Ryan.
Yeah.
Sweet. Let me know. I'm in. All
Definitely
right, fellas.
so, man. Have a good
Enjoy
night.
talking to Edgar. Take
All
care,
right,
guys.
thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey, it's the hot seat. It's the hot seat.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's going
What's up,
good.
man?
We doing it in Spanish or English
I
tonight?
was trying to think
We
of
can do both. We can do both.
then it'll be the Edgar show because I don't know any Spanish.
And we need
Right.
to do this in
I'm
Spanish.
pretty good with words like
we need
taco
a-
and salsa.
Yeah, we need a training talk in Spanish. I'm
Yeah.
down for that.
I did just have a burrito sandwich, but I can't remember how they say sandwich, or whatever it is.
Now we say sandwich.
I had
say
tacos
sandwich.
for dinner.
Yeah.
Like legit had tacos for dinner. Not joking.
Yeah, no, that's I was super excited to get my little burrito. We didn't have burrito tacos tonight. It was some sort of sandwich, but absolutely
Yeah.
delicious.
Oh, you're talking about tortas.
Yes, I think so.
Tortas. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, I've got a great little place that I got to look at the pictures to order at in town. So
Correct.
I like it.
Yeah. Good stuff. And speaking of which, Mexico was fun. Part of the PDN tour. For me, that was great times. Got to go to Mexico twice as part of the tour. I went to Guadalajara, did some classes there. Also went to Saltillo, Coahuila, which is on the north part of Mexico, next to Monterrey. Did some classes there. Fun stuff. Yeah, the tour was good. A lot of new stuff for me. First time for me. Great to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. You've definitely, you put a lot more time in Mexico, this year than the tour's been in the past couple of years. I know Rob's had some visits down there, but it definitely seemed like you were down there a few times. So. And going back, right? I've got an ID class there in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we're doing instructor development stuff at the end of this month. So Derek's coming out here to Colorado. We're going to do one here, out here in Colorado for anybody that's interested in that. And then the following weekend, or the following week, Rob and I will be down in Mexico doing the instructor development stuff down there.
That's awesome.
pretty
I'm
cool,
going to have to
man.
tag
You, like,
along
did
with y'all
enough
going to
classes.
Mexico.
Yeah, you did enough classes that now they want an instructor development down there.
Correct. Yeah, that's kind of the plan. Is normalize the activity in areas where it's not normalized, right? So Rob going to Hawaii, normalizing it in places where it's not otherwise seen as a good thing. Mexico's kind of the same way. It's just normalizing an activity that good people participate in it, whether it be for self-defense or just simply for sport. So that's been good to see the growth down there and all of the students that we have down there and the community that's really growing. It's been pretty good.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's definitely cool because for the longest time I didn't think that private ownership of guns was even allowed in Mexico.
Yeah, that's kind of the common misconception, is that you can't own guns, even among Mexicans themselves. But if you compare Mexico to, I guess, Hawaii, it's probably about kind of about the same. If you think about our most restrictive states, that's kind of how Mexico is. Yeah, because it's actually guaranteed in their constitution as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
But don't they've got something, I guess, with gun or caliber selection that can't match military or
Correct.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's the caliber stuff can't match the military stuff. But you still see ARs down there. You still see Glocks, but obviously different calibers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What caliber are they running the ARs down there?
223.
Okay, so what is, is the Mexican Army 5.56?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big difference there.
Huge.
Well, hey, it makes political sense, right?
Right.
It makes sense to the politicians.
Correct. In fact, your barrel can still be stamped as 5.56 as long as you don't put a 5.56 in there and you use a 223 because you know the difference between the 5.56 and the 223. If you want to start a comment war.
Yeah. Right. I'm sure we get some people on here that we can have this conversation for hours on the differences between them, but for for all intensive purposes,
correct.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So what's the most popular pistol caliber? So like I'm assuming the military uses 9.
9, so 380.
380. Okay.
So 380. Yeah. So 380 is the most popular bit. The biggest issue in Mexico is because it's a relatively new, well, it's a growing thing. I guess it's not a new thing, but it's a growing thing. It's really the demand. So the demand is pretty low compared to what it could be, obviously, compared to the U.S. and other countries that have gun ownership. So everything's expensive, and it's controlled heavily by the military. So everything's just super, super expensive. A box of 380, you see it for about $60, $70 sometimes, which is insane and makes it difficult for training and even to participate in the activity. So, but we're slowly trying to kind of move on that and make it better for everyone down there.
Yeah, that's. I remember. I think it was Guatemala that I remember seeing a gun store or something. I'm like, oh, I've got to go in here. And I don't remember what the ammo prices were, but they had Glock handguns, and
Correct.
they were closer to $1,000 if I remember correctly, or something like
Correct.
that. So I mean, it was about roughly double what you could have picked one up here for.
Correct. Yeah. In Mexico, it's about $2,000-$3,000 for a Glock 25, which is pretty insane.
And it'd be, I don't know what you'd pay for the Glock 25 here in the U.S., but it's also so hard to come by. You'd be paying too much.
Correct. Yeah. An AR. Yeah, some of them are going for slightly over 100,000 pesos, which is just ridiculous. It's just an insane price. So that's kind of the disadvantages that are in Mexico.
That's $5,000 roughly.
Yeah, it's up there. Yeah.
I want an export license.
Well, you couldn't.
Yeah.
It'd be tough. It'd be tough. But we'll look into that. Yeah, for sure. We're better off starting like a hamburger stand.
Yeah, probably easier, right?
Yeah.
Definitely so. So do you have any sponsor gear that you've been running around with this summer?
So one of the things that we primarily do, as you guys know, is the free concealed carry classes. And one of the things that I can't show you the holster because we're on live and we're on the community guideline stuff. So can't show you the holster that I carry, which is the G code holster for my firearm. But this is one of the ones that I show off a lot is that Vault-Tec. This is my Vault-Tec that I kind of use in classes, as well as my Vertex bags. I didn't know it was going to be so narrow, so I have them around, but I'm tied down because of the equipment.
Yeah, I've got my Vertex backpack right here.
Correct.
One of them.
Yeah, so the Vertex bags, awesome to carry stuff in. Obviously for carry itself. I like that bag. I used it in Mexico a lot. Is just very basic.
Yeah, a little sling bag.
Yeah, it's not. Well, this one wasn't a concealed carry bag. It was just
this one, the one that like you could literally like.
Correct.
Oh, dude, I travel everywhere with those.
So that one's awesome.
That
was awesome because you put it in your carry-on, and then once you get to the place, you take it out, and you put all your range equipment in there. That was awesome. A lifesaver in Saltillo. Really like that one. Very basic bag. And the Freedom ammo. I'm kind of like most humans that have heard about Freedom before. A lot of hesitation, and then they're like, "No, try it." Like it's gone through some some improvements in leadership change and
I think
zero
ownership
issues with
changes, right? If I
yeah,
remember correctly. Yeah.
yeah. So it is not what other humans or what humans have thought about it before. So freedom ammunition was very popular with our classes, and with doing the free concealed carry classes as well. So a lot of the students can't afford the ammunition, and it was nice to have a sponsor to kind of provide the ammunition for that flawless stuff. One of the ones I was always jealous about is the Nemo. I need to get me a Nemo. Haven't got myself the Nemo, but the Canic. Everybody loves the Canic.
Yeah. Got a
Everybody
Canic,
who shoots that Canic is impressed by it. I'm just watching you guys pull up. I didn't want to show you the G code because I thought
yeah, I was going to correct you on that. I'm like, do we show
Okay.
everything on this show?
Oh, okay, yeah. I was like, what are you doing? I've been shut down before. Like, I whatever you're
No,
got
I
going on
still,
here.
I've told everybody that. Like, out of the box, I have yet to find something with as nice of a trigger as the Canic handguns.
Yeah.
It's just, it's amazing. The
Well, if
guns
you're
are
gonna do
absolute.
that, yeah, I'm tied down.
They're absolute tack drivers. And so I don't have mine with the optic on it that gets most of the use.
Correct.
But this is the SFT. Let's see, the SFT, right? And then the newer, smaller model that, they sent out this year.
Correct. So I have the smaller one, the Meta MC9.
Yep, the MC9.
The MC9 is the one that I
was a
have.
G-code holster.
Correct. So incredible gun, nice holster, nice sights on it. I mean, it's everything that a lot of my students would want for an incredible price too. All of that for about $500. Optics ready. It comes with the holster, with the kit holster. I mean, but for a kit holster, it's a lot better than what you've gotten in the past from kit holsters.
Yeah.
So it's not a G code holster, but like somebody who's starting off right out of the box. Yeah, it's a pretty decent kit holster. The trigger's phenomenal. Straight shooter. I mean, it was just an awesome gun. And like I said, for a lot of students that I have, entry level students, a lot of them may be on a budget. Not all of them, but some of them on a budget, and that 500 price point is appealing to a lot of people.
Yeah, because it comes with so much stuff.
Correct.
Right.
What's cool with the full size actually works with the compact. So
All the magazines.
yeah, so like when I would pull this out for students this year, I had the magazines from the full size that I'd be like, all right, here, take these magazines. So you're not like reloading, over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I don't think I haven't found a student that did not like shooting that. And I used a ton of that Freedom Munitions ammo, to be able to dedicate time with the students and whatnot to be able to shoot the guns. And yeah, they're phenomenal. We ran different shooting competitions and different classes and whatnot. Really, really solid guns.
Yeah, for sure. And then obviously doing a lot of classroom stuff, a lot of seminar style stuff with the free concealed carry classes. The certs are always handy. We use them in a way where it's and maybe you guys appreciate this. It's everything before you actually press the trigger, because obviously it's hard to reproduce the recoil and settling of the firearm and all that stuff. But everything that comes before that, even the pressing of the trigger, figuring out those for people who struggle with that psychologically, the anticipation with the recoil, but everything that comes before the boom, I guess, if you will, those cert guns have really helped us out a lot in the seminar style stuff.
Yeah, I use them for a ton in the seminar style stuff. Absolutely use a lot in the active shooter response stuff. Working inside of buildings and whatnot. The lasers are beneficial to it. The non-lethal aspect, very beneficial to it to be able to run inside of those training environments. So yeah, I absolutely use the certs a tremendous amount. I'm trying to show it on camera. I'm not even on camera. Another thing that I've noticed with these, which I found is very interesting, dealing with people that are suffering from things like anticipation of recoil. I found, another way to be able to help students over that is really juggling different triggers as well as the certs inside of their hands, inside of their practice sessions, right? Where, I may have 3 different guns and a cert sitting on the table, and I'll tell them to, to pick up their gun, press the trigger. Maybe I'll say anticipation of recoil. All right, set that one back down, pick up that canic right there, the larger canic that's on the right-hand side. And I'll kind of rotate that kind of stuff in, including or just, the certs going back and forth. And all of a sudden, obviously they're doing things like having anticipation of recoil with a laser gun, right? With the cert. But very quickly, they start to overcome it. They start to be able to have less of it, to be able to overcome it faster than they would have with me just slowing them down on their trigger press or putting more focus on, not anticipating and working with it. So yeah, it's pretty neat. Next time you're at the range, if you haven't done it in the past, kind of juggle different guns if you've got somebody struggling through that. Because I definitely found that was a faster way to took out some of that isolated skill and put more into actually learning how to get over it, and not just kind of cheating it through dummy rounds and whatnot, but it's just that different type of trigger, running several different types of triggers that have very distinct differences between them, seem to be able to get them to a point where they learned how to press the trigger with accepting any movement of the gun and less of that hurry up and make it happen kind of stuff.
Correct. Yeah, no, it's a phenomenal tool. So it's been nice to just share different stuff with from our sponsors with the students. I would like to kind of what you were mentioning, kind of have jokingly saying we get the import or export license, but I'd like to see a lot of this stuff go to Mexico, G-code holsters and stuff like that, especially that universal one. I was kind of hesitant because it's, as you've heard it before, universal it's gonna work, and then you get in, it doesn't work. So that paradigm from G-code in a place, again, kind of like Pincus was saying with Hawaii, it's nice to have something where with limited equipment, one size fits all kind of stuff. I think they have the small and the medium, and they each fit like 150 guns, which is pretty incredible. And doing it well is pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely so.
Yeah. Helps the instructor out too. Like if
Correct.
the way they make it, judging by what Rob's showed, like the videos I've seen Rob send out to us internally and stuff, it's pretty impressive. So how many times you have students show up on a range with less than ideal holster?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a great way to only have to carry, one single stack and one double stack universal, and
Correct.
That's pretty easy to do when you're jumping on a plane.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's a game changer for a lot of instructors, and it's $30. Like it's $30. It comes with inside the waistband, outside the waistband. I'm cheap, so like being cheap and broke, like $30 is a game changer for universal holster. So now I can let students borrow it. It could go inside, outside the waistband. It's pretty incredible stuff. So.
Yeah, I definitely intend to pick up a couple, probably 4 of them, for left hand, right hand, the small version, the big version.
Yeah. You're gonna include us lefties in the world?
Yeah, y'all always screw it up. Right-handed people show up with good holders.
It's ambidextrous, huh?
Yeah. No, it definitely is. So yeah, I think I haven't picked one up yet. I've got some of the other G-code holsters for the PD10 and whatnot. They've been solid stuff.
Yeah.
Edgar, man, thanks for coming on tonight.
Yeah, not a problem. Sorry, I monopolized the conversation.
No, not at all, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, definitely so. Guns for everyone. Edgar runs free concealed carry classes in the Colorado area as well as other states, right? Down in Florida, y'all had one?
Yeah, a few other places. Yeah, we're trying to do them in as many states as possible. But yeah, gunsforeveryone.com is where everybody can find us.
Absolutely. Check them out, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for being on part of the tour.
Yeah, we'll see.
Thanks, Edgar.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
Man, time's flying.
I know. I can't believe that. So you had USCCA reps come out a lot, to your classes and whatnot, right?
Yeah. I did a couple USCCA like train and learn type events at the 511 store here in Sarasota, Bradenton area near the University Town Center. Did build your own IFAC, and then did another a women's only talking about situational awareness and like what's good about it, what's bad about it, how to how to think about it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely so. If those viewing haven't seen that kind of stuff, they like put Derek and other solid instructors really around the country in different places where they'll do little miniature sessions. Maybe it's hosted at something like a 511 store, or hosted at different types of venues where they'll come in, offer free training for a couple of hours on, like you said, things like IFACs and whatnot, or home defense concepts and whatnot. So if you haven't checked out USCCA, certainly be sure to do so. They were an awesome sponsor this tour, as well as in the past as well. We've got another guest coming on here in a couple of minutes. Let's see if he's in the holding pattern. There's the man right there.
There he is.
Hey, Clint, how are you doing?
Good. Here, let me get my head at the same level-ish.
Coming from public, I'm trying to think of the name of your studio.
Yeah. Cobble Sound Recording Company.
Cobble Sound Recording. I knew it had something to do with like stones or rocks or something. I was like,
yeah, that's a whole story. I'd be happy to talk about it if that's of interest. But
well, now I'm interested.
Well, I had a company in Hollywood where it was Cobblestone Pictures, and I ran the audio department, and my partner that I don't speak of anymore, he ran the video department, and we were reasonably successful. And when he and I split up, everyone knew me as Cobblestone. So I decided, well, okay, I was always the sound guy, so I'm going to call it Cobble Sound, and that's where it. And I've had that name. The company's been around like well over 10 years now.
Yeah,
well over
awesome.
10 years.
That's,
pushing 20 actually.
If the viewers didn't know that, Clint's done some pretty cool stuff with sound on different video tracks and audio tracks for lots of people over the years. I can't see it in the camera there, but he's got a pretty cool sound studio behind him.
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah. And he's going to have the best sound of the night.
In his own right. Pretty good drummer in his own right.
That's right.
So, yeah, it's kind of funny. That was my business since I was a kid. I kind of grew up in that industry somewhat, and I befriended a dear friend of mine was an armorer out in Hollywood. And so he would take actors to the range and show them how to, look like they knew what they were doing and blank adapt all the guns. He was the most popular person on the set when he would come. Of course, everyone wanted to get a picture with, a selfie with the gun or something. And so he would take me, and he'd always have a different girlfriend with him every time. He'd say, "Hey, Clint, teach her to shoot." I'm like, well, okay. And it just kind of happened. And before I knew it, I was certified through the NRA when I was out there. My training counselor was also a recording engineer, so we hit it off. And when I moved back to Pennsylvania, I started teaching more and more. And I think God puts doors in front of you sometimes, and you walk past them and kind of peek, and other times you kind of open the door and look, and then other times God just kicks your ass right through the door. And I think that's kind of what happened, because my entire life changed about 2013 when I started the Trigger Pressers Union, and that became my really 90% of my income. And so now with the studio, I don't have to have punk bands come in to keep my lights on. So I'm very selective about the projects I do. So in turn, that's made the quality of some of the products to be even better, because I'm working with better clients. And I have the ability now to, even if I find a band that's poor, but they're awesome, I'll bring them in anyhow, and I'll still do a record. So it's been pretty cool.
Man, that's awesome. You even had the opportunity to convert some of Rob's books into audiobooks, right?
Yeah, I did one of them. Hopefully we get another one done. The home defense one.
Yeah.
And he had a cold that time, and so if you listen to the beginning, his voice is normal, and then halfway through he sounds like this, and then at the end he sounds good again.
That's awesome.
You had to break out all of your sound man skills, right?
Yeah, well, the source is what the source is, but he read it very well. It was kind of fun though, because he'd written that book so long ago. He'd be reading, he says, "That's absolutely stupid. I'm going to change that." So the audiobook, if someone does have the actual the book, the text, the audiobook is different. He revised it on the fly, and it's got the latest, greatest Rob at the time when we recorded it.
That's awesome. Well, man, you look pretty busy out on the tour this year.
Yeah, I didn't have quite as many dates this year as I have in years past. I've been doing a lot of instructor training, a lot of instructor development, and traveling the country, a lot in the Northeast. of the United States. And that's been keeping me on the road like pretty much, 3 or 4 days a week. For a while there, I was out every week. Getting to the point where I'd wake up at home and think I was in a hotel. Like, yeah, that's
there.
bad.
Yeah,
that's
definitely
bad.
been there.
But yeah, I had four dates booked, and one of the dates, kind of like I saw earlier when I was watching the show, Derek had a mishap with a range for one of his dates. I had that happen. I usually end the tour at a range, sportsman's club out near Johnstown, Pennsylvania, where the big Johnstown flood was. And what I would usually do, they would give me the range on Saturday and then to do my class. And then on Sunday, I would do a hunter safety course for them, and that's a volunteer thing. So I would do that for the sportsman's club. And anyhow, the game commission canceled the hunter safety course, and then there was some politics and stuff. So I ended up giving 3 guys a refund, and I got another guy coming and taking another class with me when I book it next month. But aside from that, the rest of the classes went very well. Actually, the first date that I had was on National Trainer Teacher Day. So that was, this was my 6th annual National Trainer Teacher Day we did this year. And so that one I had a husband and wife couple that taught at a Sunday school. So they were there. So that, on National Trainer Teacher Day, we give the training for free to those folks. So we did basically a USCCA situational awareness mini class in the classroom. And then I did a whole bunch of stuff with the good old cert pistols there. I like basically doing extend touch press using like sticky notes on the wall. And that works real well. And I'll use the G-code holsters too for them to actually just start working on some holster work and doing that properly with the cert guns. And then in the second half of the day, we went to the range and I essentially did it like a DSF mini class. So took them up, from safety, comfort, and competency up through, up multiples. We talked about, using sights. I didn't get deep in the weeds on the theoretical stuff on bounce, speed, and precision. I just said, here, this is how you use your sights, use them when you need them. And then we validated that and ended the day with a really good bounce, speed, and precision drill. So they had a good time. As a matter of fact, they actually signed up and came back and did the IDS that I did. So,
nice.
Yeah.
So
I need to get with you next.
Bring your black rifle classes.
My BYOBRs.
Yeah.
I actually haven't done a BYOBR in a while because I've been teaching the USCCA's AR-15 fundamentals class, which is similar. It's similar. There were some things that I would do in BYOBR that's not done in the USCCA's course, but the USCCA AR class is really good. It's a good digestible chunk of information, and just kind of like anything with the counter ambush methodology, we as the instructors can make it more complex if we feel that we need to, if the students are able to do that. But I've had a couple people in the AR-15 class. Matter of fact, one that I did on the tour, a guy had never shot his AR before in his life, wasn't really a gun guy. And of course, the last election or something, he went and bought one because he thought he'd never be able to get one. And he hadn't shot it. So he brought it to the range, and I ended up, he didn't have the right mounts on it to sling the rifle properly. So I got some horse tape and wrapped it in some zippy ties, and we got it rolling for him. And by the end of the day, man, he was comfortable, confident, wasn't terribly fast, but he was pretty consistent, and he was game to continue to train. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we can do as instructors is to motivate them to continue that journey when they're not with us.
Yeah. I mean, the AR, man, I was like, this is my favorite. Like, if I could only teach one class, I'd just teach AR class. Like this is like, it's like a walk down nostalgia lane with the Marine Corps, like playing with the rifle. And obviously I don't teach what I taught in the Marine Corps because it doesn't apply. But I love the AR and the Nemo rifle. I love that Nemo rifle. Like,
yeah, I haven't got a chance to shoot the Nemo. I actually came out this year with a Trigger Pressers Union Signature Edition rifle. I have one of my clients. He builds rifles. He's got whatever the type of license you need to manufacture guns, he has that. And he makes his rifles. And there was a couple of departments around Lake Erie in that region that bought his rifles for their patrol cars. And he's a law enforcement. That's kind of his day job. And he was trying to break in the civilian market. And he says, hey, would you do a rifle and we can put your logo on it and we can sell them and make a big deal about it and get some press for the company? I'm like, hell yeah. So put it through the torture test. And I set the rifle up with exactly what I thought would be the best things to have on a home defense rifle. And I'm using mostly Pennsylvania vendors too. So it's got, Lancer Lancer 4N on it. It's got Mission First tactical furniture on it. The barrel and the barrel and the bolt were made in Pennsylvania, and the receivers are made in Pennsylvania. So it's a mostly Pennsylvania rifle. But out of the box, you buy it. It's got an EOTech on it. All you do is throw a sling and put ammo in it. It's ready to roll.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You going to get the legislators to make it the official state gun?
Yeah, we had one bad election cycle. I don't know if I can pull that off. We're keeping them at bay. Luckily, the anti-gun forces only have a 1-vote lead on us. So actually, there's two. Now that we're talking legislation, there's two Democrats. You know, I'm not like a Republican Democrat thing, because they're Republicans. One of the Republicans in our state wrote the red flag law that they tried to get through a couple of years ago. But you know, typically the Democrats nowadays are pretty anti-gun. But we have two Democrats that we've been working closely with Firearms Owners Against Crime, which is our state level Second Amendment organization in Pennsylvania, to where they've been able to help us stave off some nasty bills that probably don't have a chance making it through the Senate, but still we don't want to have to get it to the point where they have to deal with it in the Senate. So anyhow, maybe if we get another good election cycle, I can push we'll have the state bird and we'll have the state rifle as the trigger pressers one.
There you go. There you go. What other gear do you have out on the tour this year?
Well, I use extensively for demos and stuff on the range in the AR class for sure. I tell you one thing, when Rob was here and I got to host him for his tour dates, he ran the unorthodox shooting position. I really liked the way you guys, and I'm guessing you guys had a part in the decision with that, how you've incorporated the SIRT pistol into some of the more complex exercises, and really doesn't really change any of the skill sets that we're trying to develop or the safety things that you're trying to vet in order to move on to the next complex thing. I thought that was pretty awesome how we kind of put those in there, and then we just swapped to the live gun when we're in the position and then fired.
Yeah, it was a good evolution.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. But as far as the Canic, the baby Canic got some rounds run through it. So did the full size. I don't have my full size in here, but I got one that I kept with irons, and I got another one that I put the optic on.
I did the same. I've got mine with irons sitting here, but it's the one with the red dot that's gotten most of the use, and it's gotten a ton of use.
Yeah, I put it on. I was starting to use the red dot, and I recently got LASIK. So I don't have glasses anymore, which I think was the best defensive dollar I ever spent in my life. Because without my glasses, man, I just saw shapes and colors. Like, someone 5 feet in front of me would just be a shape. And I thought, it wouldn't matter if I had a gun, a knife, or whatever. I got to see whatever I'm defending myself against. I mean, that's basic gun 101. We have an ethical and moral responsibility to identify the thing we shoot before we shoot it, right? So my wife kind of pushed me a little bit, and I just went ahead and bit the bullet, and I got the LASIK done. But it was the best thing I've done. Yeah, so I'm about 3 weeks or 3 months into it. My eyes still get a little bit dry towards the end of the day, but I can see, man. It's an amazing thing. So I don't have the feeling that I need to transition to the red dot for myself quite yet now.
Yep.
But with that said, I've had plenty of people. I had someone come in with a Beretta 92, very complex, and I don't know which variant it was, but it was the decock then safety on.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was like everything you needed to do with a Beretta, that person had to do it. And of course, if you got a safety and a decar, you got to run it. That's the bottom line. And so the guy wasn't terribly attached to it, and he was feeling it was rather cumbersome for him. So I said, here, why don't you try this? And I got out that Canic, and he loved it. He went and bought one after class was over.
Yeah, I've had a few students go out and buy them.
Yeah. And I had a woman run this one. She had a gun that was just way too big for her. One of those, like, the husband threw it in the box before she came to class, and so she took that one. But I've been carrying the Canics. I mean, obviously I use the SIRT pistols all the time, but I've been carrying the Canics around with me. Even my instructor development classes I've been teaching throughout, making sure everyone gets a chance to check them out. And like you said earlier, I think out of the box, they are the nicest trigger available for a gun in that price range for sure.
Yeah. No, it's hard to beat it. It's like I'm a pretty okay shot. I don't know that Derek's rolling his eyes. I'm
He's
okay
a pretty
here.
okay shot. All right, let everybody know. Like, when I'm zeroing a red dot and I'm like, okay, I think it's good, I'm using Barrett. Is this good? Because Barrett is that good of a shot that I trust him almost more than I trust myself with my own gun. So he's no.
But then I was just gonna say, when I pick up the Canic, it's like I impress myself. It's like, wow, this gun makes me look good. It's that trigger is just it's that good, for an out of the box gun in that price range.
Yeah, pretty much everyone that's fired it asked me if I put a trigger into it. I'm like, no,
Right.
that's no,
it.
no, that's the one that
Yeah.
comes with it. And the G code, I got to use the G code when I didn't have the G code for my first 2 classes that I did, but the third class I did, the intuitive defensive shooting class, I had someone, of course, didn't read their email, and so they showed up with this old 1980s pancake leather holster that would just go like that as soon as they took the pistol out. I'm like, nah, it ain't gonna work, man. And so I went, ooh, I got the universal holster. Cool, let's try this out. And it worked very well for him.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Like I like my G code so much that it came with the tour gun. I actually got one from my personal gun. Like
there you go.
Their appendix gun, like this appendix wing that they use is pretty cool. Like you can screw that off and put a smaller or a longer one on depending on, so it lines up real nice with your belt.
Keeps the belly from pushing it out so much.
Yeah, but my belly's kind of gone down a little bit.
Yeah, well, maybe what you've lost, I've put on, because I've put on a couple pounds. I'm not where I was when I did NRA videos and stuff years ago, but I've put a few pounds on.
That's the traveling classes, man.
Actually, you know what? I eat better when I'm on the road. I'm more disciplined. But then I come home, my wife puts a big thing of pasta and
I got
cheesecake
better.
and stuff.
There was, I think, a year or two where I got pretty sloppy at eating, on the road at hotels. But I kind of got to the point where I had it all figured out. I'd go to, get to town, go buy a cheap ice chest, buy a cheap ice block or freeze water bottles, and I'd just pack my lunch and bring it, buy it all at the grocery store, bring my fresh fruit, my meat and stuff, and just eat that for lunch. But
Yep. Yeah, I do pretty well on the road with the food, though.
Definitely
But the Vault-Tec, that was impressive. I had not used the Vault-Tec before this tour.
Okay.
There's been several other brands that I've monkeyed around with. I had one company that I was kind of pushing theirs for a while, but as they came out with more models, they seemed to be less consistent, especially with the biometric. And when Rob sent or whoever sent the Vault-Tec out, I got it and like, wow, it's heavy. Okay. And I put my thumb on it. It opened right up. I'm like, wow, I've never seen one move that fast. And I'm
model.
Yeah, very impressed. I'm very impressed with that. And so, I always like to bring a gun box to class, if we're doing a simulation or something. But even I'll encourage people, especially if I'm doing a from the table class, like a home defense centric kind of course, I'll ask them, hey, do you have a gun box? Bring it with you. So long as it's not, you don't have to rip it off your wall or something. You guys were talking about that earlier. Too often people don't train in that kind of context, and they never even think about that.
Yeah. I always talk about, at this point, I've got 12 years of experience of really heavily using and testing and evaluating different fast access home defense safes. And, because I've been 12 years into kids, right? And, that was really when I started paying attention to it. And early on, probably the first 2 to 3 years, I would buy all the popular brands out there and put them, to heavy use inside the home, not just using them, but really kind of testing them, see where the failure points were with them, see where they worked well. And, I came up with some favorite brands along the way and whatnot, but I guess I'm probably 2, maybe 3 years into the Vault-Tec safes now. And when I got a hold of those, it's like they took what has been pretty stagnant with the fast access safes and made it far better. I've got, I think 3 or 4 of them at this point. I've got their Life Pod. That has become, there you go. So that's my main travel one. It's lightweight. It's, if you want to go that route, it's like sealed up, waterproof and that kind of stuff, but it's, that's my go-to travel box. And so like I was just in Alabama, just this past weekend and whatnot, and it's easy for me to throw in my suitcase, even though I'm not jumping on an airplane, it's easy for me to throw in my suitcase. So when I'm taking my gun off at night, that I don't have to worry about kids grabbing it or anybody else being able to put their hands on it. I just quickly throw it into that box. But Whether it's that one or the VS20i, is kind of my main one that would be staged for home defense. It connects to the phone via Bluetooth. It's a little bit bigger than the version that Derek showed up there a second ago, but it's same biometric, super reliable. The battery. Obviously you should probably charge it once a month or whatever, but I can, from use, can promise you it goes a lot longer than that, but it's USB rechargeable. So you could certainly keep it plugged in if you want, or, recharge it when you need, but I can see the battery level on the phone and whatnot with it too. And so, yeah, I've just been very, very impressed with the Vaultec safes. They are continuing to do some pretty innovative stuff with things like the biometric remote buttons and whatnot.
Mhm.
If you want to mount one in your car where you can mount the button in your car, touch the button, and it transmits the signal to the box to be able to unlock it and open it. So they're doing some really, really cool stuff with it. So definitely, I was super impressed, when I got around them originally, and hope we continue to be.
Something very simple. I really enjoyed the Vertex pants.
Yeah.
When I was younger and I would see older guys wear pants that kind of stretched, I used to kind of think that was goofy. But now, like, I'm to the age where I really kind of dig it.
Well, and they've changed, right? No longer does it look like my grandpa's pants that stretch. They've done a really good job with it. Look, I love the shirts that they've sent out.
Oh, those are nice.
The shirts that, and I wish I was wearing one right now to be able to show you, but if you haven't seen them, to the viewers out there, they've got, different, they've got some polo style and, some more of flannel style and whatnot. But it has a sewn in interior layer, that you can either put between body, gun, and holster, to make it more comfortable, or I can use it, as additional layer of concealment because it's more of like a compression style. And so you can, tuck it on the outside of the gun in that sense to where even things like hands going overhead or whatever else is that, the shirt comes up, it still stays very concealed. And so I think that those are phenomenal shirts.
Yeah, one nice thing about that from an instructor standpoint is if you're doing any type of demonstrations with, clearing garments or working from the holster, it's nice to have that interior layer so you don't have to have all the women in the class look at your belly. I've actually had someone once give me a comment that, like, I really didn't like looking at your hairy belly the whole time. And that's one of those little things, like
somebody gave you a razor blade after class.
Well, I'm not going to do that because then it would itch. But the inside layer, like, it kept things. It was modest. It was like a modesty cover. But those little kind of details are some of the things that can disconnect us from our students when we're teaching. Like, we've always talked about shade talk and like having your sunglasses on and they can't see your eyes. And so anyhow, I thought that was an also nice thing to have when I was teaching.
Well, I'm going to let you guys in on a little Marine Corps secret. You're supposed to wear a skivvy shirt under your shirt anyway.
No.
Just
well, the undershirt. Sometimes the wife beater shirt. You mean like the? Yeah. I don't know if is that PC to say that.
The wife beater.
Yeah. Probably not, but I've never been accused of being PC.
I mean, that's right. I was going to say that's just what they always were called growing up. I could be wrong. I don't know, but that's kind of still how I see them.
You got to think when the age of when that term came about, it's acceptable. Like, I'm almost quoting Bill Maher, and I never thought in my entire life I'd ever quote Bill Maher.
Wow. There's
that's the weird world we're in these days.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying.
So before you go, like the USCCA's AR class, they started developing it last tour, and like I was actually one of the first people to vet the class. So I can tell everybody that, like, hey, judging by what I went through, and I know it's evolved since then, it's a good class, especially the in classroom stuff. Like, I was highly impressed.
Yeah, it's scalable. So there's like a mini class PowerPoint that could be done at the beginning of the day if you want to do a full long class. But one of the things that I've been noticing, and I'm sure you guys have noticed it too, for those first time gun owners, selling them in a full day class is really, really difficult now. Like, the trend is they want little short, kind of digestible, like 2 hour long modules. So it gives you the ability to do that if that's something that you want to do. But
Or if
I've
you're
got,
working
I'll have
outside.
more of those coming up.
That's cool. Yeah, or if you're working outside in Florida in the summertime, most people don't want more than 3 to 4 hours.
Or in Pennsylvania in January when there's snow on the ground. Yeah, yeah.
True fact. True fact. I do not want to be in Pennsylvania in January.
Yeah, I tell you
Certainly
what,
not teaching.
most of my first class of the year ones, like the very first weekend, were actually almost t-shirt weather. But winter is starting to move, like it shifts about 2 months. So now it's
Right.
like end of February, March is worse, it seems.
That's why I say I've already seen the changes starting to happen here in Louisiana. Like I walked outside earlier, I don't know, 2 o'clock this afternoon, and had been in the office most of the day, and told my wife, I'm like, man, I can't believe how nice it feels. And it's like as I'm saying that, I'm like, no, my summer's leaving me. Don't leave me, summer.
Yeah.
Well, summer's not leaving down here in Southwest Florida. I was out working in the garage at 3 o'clock, sweating like you wouldn't believe it. It was still 88 degrees.
Well, but you see, our summertime here though, Derek, is like we were at like 104, 106 this summer. I mean, it was ridiculously hot, and so I mean, it was still high 80s today, but but high 80s felt nice.
It was like, ooh, 70.
Yeah, we might have had 2 days over the whole summer up this part of the world where it broke 100. The rest it was like mostly in the 80s.
Oh, I just wish it would rain. It's we've been on a burn ban for the past couple of months here, which is pretty rare, for Louisiana. We normally have pretty wet summers, and it's just we need it to rain.
Yeah, we're about 5 inches of rain off.
Yeah. No, we got plenty of rain this year, I think. Yeah, I think. Spent quite a few days teaching with the frog togs on. We need to get a sponsor that does nice rain gear. I think that would be nice.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
I like nice rain gear.
Yeah,
I've spent more money on outdoor clothes in the past, several years teaching and whatnot.
Well, yeah, you fly and you think,
right.
It's not going to rain, and then you get there and it's like, all right, I got to go find Walmart.
Exactly. Or you bring what is like your Florida winter weather stuff, and you're like, oh, I'll be plenty warm, and then you get up there and it's like, oh, no, this is miserably cold, and I need 18 more layers.
Yeah, I did a DSF instructor course in Ohio. It was maybe 2 years ago. It was 9 degrees and windy. Luckily, they had like a heated area, and I'll be honest, we didn't get nearly as many reps in that class as we might have in another one. But they went outside. We actually scraped snow off the firing line and did our thing, and we got through what we needed to and did all the teach backs to sufficiently. But it was miserable, dude. Yeah. I won't opt to do that again, not in that kind of weather.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. I'm glad you could join us tonight to talk about the tour, and obviously thanks for being part of the tour.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to next year, and if I could pitch real quick, we're doing National Train a Teacher Day again next year on June 22nd. So that weekend has been working best for the instructors across the country. So if there's any teachers, school staff, administrators, or anyone that works with youth in a leadership capacity, they can go to the National Train a Teacher Day website, connect with an instructor that's putting something on near them, and we'll get them some training for free. And it's not just gun training, maybe first aid training, situational awareness training, pepper spray. There's a lot of things being offered.
Definitely.
I'll be presenting at NRA annual meeting this year. So I'll be putting on seminars there each day at an annual meeting, and I'll also be putting on some seminars, I believe, at Great American Outdoor Show. So, and I'll be at SHOT Show this year, just kind of running around getting selfies with everybody.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now let's touch base with me on Train a Teacher. I do a lot with educational facilities and whatnot. There should be no reason why I'm not doing something with our Defender School Active Shooter Response Program with Train a Teacher or something. Yeah, we'll put something on calendar.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Cool.
Well,
great to see you, Clint. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, good to see you guys. And let me know if I can ever be of any service.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good night, Clint.
Take care. Good night.
Night.
Derek Poole, man. We probably should wrap it up. Kind of rolling in a few minutes late tonight. But I think that we've had a wonderful show with some guests coming on talking about this stuff. Obviously, huge thanks to our sponsors. You see them up on the screen, including Primary Arms Online. that is always with us sponsoring the show. There's your PA hat. Primary Arms, constantly running specials on their websites. If you haven't jumped on there, jump on there. I can almost promise you, you throw in your email address, and next thing you know, you've got a pretty cool discount available tonight, or some kind of special that they're running. So we thank you to Primary Arms Online for sponsoring the show tonight, and all the sponsors that put in a ton of work for us for this training tour. Any last thoughts, Derek, man?
No, just great sponsors. You know, a lot of them were returns from last year. You know, it wasn't for them, we couldn't do it. So really appreciate them. So thank you. And you know, if you like the tour, if you enjoyed the tour, make sure you go hit up our sponsors to show them. You know, they all make really good gear and provide great services.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one thing that I've been happy with the tour sponsors. I can't remember when my first year teaching along the tour was, but if they don't make sense in regards to, if we don't agree with their methodology, don't agree with their products, they're not solid gear, not solid products, they're not coming on as a sponsor to begin with. So everybody we've ever worked with has really quality product or a quality service, and this year wasn't any difference. But thank y'all to everyone who was a student, became part of the 2023 Personal Defense Network Training Tour. We look forward to the 2024 tour. If you weren't in a class, hopefully we'll have you in a course next year. And if you're interested in hosting, whether it's handgun stuff, rifle stuff, pepper spray, taser, active shooter response, enclosed quarters, like you name it, medical, right? You name it. We've got instructors that stand out as being solid instructors in different skill sets. So make sure you reach out to us or reach out to them to look for classes or for future host locations. Thank you all very much for watching.